of reasoning of why you should be free, and also there was no demands that were really given of what you wanted other than, hey, we need some stuff. Not terrible. Information was good. I could have used more argument and persuasion behind your information. Like you said, you had information about what happened after you were free. That would have been great. I wish you would have used it because it really would have helped. Because if you know what would have happened, you could have used it and said, hey, this is what would have happened. So, what we're going to do today is, the whole idea is, I believe the only group left is Canada. So Canada, the Canadian delegates will present. I, the king, and if the queen comes, she's busy, but if she comes, we'll listen to your argument, and we will then rebuttal what you say. And we will, again, try to fight you just like the other people did. After that, we're going to do the peer and self-assessments. There's two sides to the peer and self-assessment sheet. The first side is the rubric scale. We're going to go from 5 to 1 for strongly agree or strongly disagree. The idea is that I'm going to give you 15 to 20 minutes to critically think on this section, both sections. The other one is 4 questions. I want as much information as you can possibly get out. Take the time to critically think. Let yourself really dig deep. Because the more you think about how you learn and how you think and how your mind works and what your work ethic is in the process, it'll better you. But don't just think about this particular project. Think about how your work in this project helped your future goals. Not just your goal for the end of the year of the A, but your goal for the end of the year saying, I'm going to graduate and I'm going to go on to school, or I'm going to go do this. How is my work ethic now going to develop me into a better person? And that's what these self-assessments are for, is so that you can use metacognition and start thinking about bettering the way you think and bettering your intelligence level. So, on that note, I'd like to ask the Queen to join me so that we can talk and they can present your case. Canada, I think you guys are kind of spread out though, right? Is Canada all together or are you guys spread out? If Canada can at least get together somewhat so that it's all cohesive, it would be great. And I'm going to avoid the cheesy accent for today because it was a bit of a drag the first day. So we're going to avoid that British accent. At least I am, because I can't do it. But the Queen has a wonderful British accent.
Fabulous. Thank you, I was very disappointed. Alright, Canada, where are they?
Canada, take it away whenever you'd like.
So, Andrea could start because she has the basic facts, if she wants to.
Okay. I got it. So basically, just a bit of history on Canada, I guess. It's made up of the British North American countries. And so this happened, the British North American countries are the countries that Britain had after the American Revolutionary War, and the leftover land was called British North America. And then, so it consists of British Columbia, Newfoundland, that's what you said, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. And basically, these countries or territories, I guess, combined to make Canada, and yeah.
Okay.
So here's just some dates about Canada and a little bit going on with the history. In 1497, Italian navigator John Cabot reaches coast of Cape Breton, which is Canada. And in 1534, Jacques Cartier explored St. Lawrence River, claimed shores of the Gulf of St. Lawrence for French. And then in 1627, the Company of New France established to govern and exploit New France's North America colonies, which is almost starting to lead into the imperialism that we're talking about. And 1701, 38 Indian nations signed a peace treaty near Monterey with, I can't say,
Montreal?
It's a city by Montreal, I think, so
Okay.
it's similar to it.
Okay.
But, I think they changed the name. I'm not positive though. But the French ending 20 years of diplomacy, which is kind of cool. And then in 1756, the war begins between New France and the British colonies. The settlement of Quebec falls in 1759, and the Brits advanced to Montreal. And then in the 1800s, the immigration to Canada starts rising, and you see more people joining the country.
Alright, and since our presentation is against imperialism, this is more of the long-term effects of why it's bad, because short-term it was very bad, but the long-term effects are even worse of imperialism in Canada. So I guess as like a starting point, we all know that imperialism promoted racism. Like, so the imperialists would come in and they'd take over the land while degrading and trying to take the native people and assimilate them into their culture forcibly, kind of. At the time, that meant creating schools for the native Aboriginal people. So they would take the children, they're like boarding schools, so they'd take the Aboriginal children and send them there, and they wouldn't be allowed to speak their language or, you know, do any of their cultural things. And if they were, they would be punished. And they're basically just taught Christianity and speaking English and being part of the culture of America. But those schools, there weren't a lot of, so like as I said earlier, there's blatant racism. So the schools they didn't have very, like the schools nowadays have like guidelines and rules, and there's people watching over those, but back then they didn't. So there's lots of physical abuse, mental abuse, and sexual abuse in the schools towards the children, because they didn't really have any ways of seeking help, because all the people, like all the adults around them, were all kind of like in a way racist, because it was hard not to be back then. I mean, I'm sure there were some exceptions, but for the most part, it was a school trying to eliminate their culture and replace it with or more superior culture. So in the future, that created a very large like crack in the whole culture of the Aboriginal people. So they feel like they've lost a lot of their native culture and native language. So now, because they do that, there's really no place for them, because they're like in this generation, their grandparents were in the schools, because the schools were only abolished in like 1930 something, 1936 I think. So their grandparents all went through this trauma, and then so their parents had to deal with that. So it's like kind of multi-generational trauma. So now there's a very high suicide rate in Canada amongst the yeah. So let me just find the thing. So Health Canada cites that Aboriginal youth suicide rate, the suicide rate for the Aboriginal youths are about up to 7 times higher than that of a non-Aboriginal youth. So that's just this generation, and it's actually increasing over time. So gradually there's more and more, and there's also and then it says First Nations youth, which is a group for the a modern group for the Aboriginal people today. It says First Nations youth who have had parents or grandparents at residential schools are more likely to experience depression, suicidal ideation, and to attempt suicide than Aboriginal peers whose parents and grandparents did not attend those schools. Some lady named Amy Bombay said that, so she's like a professor. But so that's just one of the like why imperialism wasn't good for us. So that's like the long-term effects.
Is that it from the Canadian delegates, or
We had some more.
we got more? We're all ears. Lay it on us.
So I was gonna tell why the British imperialized Canada.
Okay.
So they imperialized Canada because they were looking for more power in the military part of it. So they found out that Canada had a strongish army. So they wanted to combine with each other, and and it also helped Canada a bit because the U.S. they want to like take over part of like. So when the U.S. invades Canada, they have a stronger army. And that's basically.
Is that all, or is there more?
I guess kind of why we don't agree with them being under imperialism is because the indigenous people aren't being treated correctly in the country, and they're just not getting the rights that they deserve because they've been there longer, and they didn't get the choice. Kind of like some of the primary source documents we read, they didn't get the freedoms and the choices that they deserve.
And then going off of Alan, them like coming together, helped them like politically, economically, and as you said, with the military. I can go into that.
Go for it. Anything you guys want to give us, give us.
Okay, so politically, the province of Canada, not Canada, like country, their government was rough because they had an English half and a French half, and they had like really different ideas of how to run things and stuff. So they thought that joining other colonies would help get to like a resolution. Economically, because there were very few places that the British North American colonies could sell their goods to, and if they combined, they could easily sell goods within like each other. And then, like Alan said, with the military and with the U.S., in case they ever wanted to, I guess, fight them, they would have a stronger army. Yeah.
Is that it? It's
So
okay if it is.
we also read a review by Todd Gordon, who's an author in Canada who wrote a book about imperialism in the country, which is kind of cool. We had two documents actually, and what it basically said is that the people there weren't being treated as they should be, and that they just weren't getting the rights and the land and the power and the unitedness that they should have.
Okay. So, I know my question, I'm sure it's your question too. What are you searching for? Like, you're supposed to give us something to rebuttal against or think over to give you guys. For instance, Australia said they wanted reparations. They weren't specific about it, but they got reparations. Sudan, yeah, what can we do for you, our loyal subjects?
So, is it okay if I speak for you guys? Sorry. Thanks, Bizarre. But, so maybe we, as the native Aboriginal people of Canada, maybe we would like larger preservations, the eradication of the schools, I forgot what they're called, and we would like more education to be spread about us to like the settlers, so there's not so much misinformed racism, because that was like a big thing, and just larger pockets of land that we can keep to the like native land that was like sacred to us and not be developed into your country.
Canada, I do have one question. You did mention the military, and yes, of course. I mean, we did, you know, those Americas down to the south are very untrustworthy. But I was wondering, if you did not have the British Army to help you, don't you think that perhaps America might think that your southern territory looks good, and so would you like us to maintain a military presence, I suppose is what I'm asking, or do you want us to remove our troops? And if so, how can you guarantee us that you will be able to defend yourself and our citizens of the British Crown?
I mean, I guess America would, like, pretty much what they're doing to their Native Americans, the same thing that you guys are pretty much doing to us. So, I mean, if you were to comply with, or, you know, what we want, then yeah, totally you could stay and, like, you know, keep America out. But if you're just gonna not do anything and do the same thing that America's doing, then it doesn't really matter either way. Who does it?
Okay.
Well, my question, well, one of my questions is the fact that you stated school and the fact that our schooling has come in, and yes, our schooling may have helped, but you don't like that it's trampled over your cultural beliefs. Was there schooling beforehand? I mean, to say that we came in and didn't give you technological advances or help you get more intellectually wise, we'll use, instead of culturally wise or traditionally wise. Do you want all of our schools to be gone, or would you just like maybe a class on the Aborigines people?
Well, certainly, like if you were to offer normal schools that we could go to if we wanted to and not forced to go to, we wouldn't mind if you had schools that were available. But we don't really like the whole forcing or kids to go to boarding school and taking away from their families and all that. That's not really a thing.
Shocking. All right.
Well, I got
all
one
right.
more.
All right.
Back to the military aspect.
And I would like to say any other delegates of Canada are welcome to.
Yes, and are encouraged to speak, other than Delegate Conti. So, the question's going to be directed to the people who are still over here.
I know, you're just saying.
You mentioned the military, and we mentioned the military, and you mentioned the fact that it was British and French. So, if we were never there, and if we didn't help militaristically, you guys may have been French. And would that have been better? Would you prefer to be a French colony over a British colony?
I mean, it would probably depend how they were treating us.
Like, I guess we can't really know because it already happened, but if we did have a second chance, maybe being French would be a better solution, because maybe we would have a stronger alliance with France than we would with you guys, and maybe we'd get more protection and more, like, I guess, freedom in our country as well as, like, Europe if we weren't with you guys.
Is that how you feel, Delegate Allen? Okay. Give us a brief moment to discuss, and we'll get back to you on what we think. So,
Canada.
we have come to the decision. We're going to stay, use everything that we've been using. We'll get rid of the schools. If you don't want our schools, that's fine. You don't have to be educated. We rarely care if our colonies are educated. And we'll give you another extra maybe 5 acres of preservation land, being generous. And so it was nice, it was well done, and we'll give you what you want. So I think, are we all happy here? Is every colony happy with what they received?
Yes,
we are.
No.
We got everything we ever wanted.
Australia wants more than reparations. Sorry,
So-
Australia.
I hope that you guys understood the process behind this, and the fact that this was a way for you guys to prepare for what's going to happen in the 4th quarter, your final grade, of which is the oral defense and the paper. So I'm hoping that this was a way for you guys to have less anxiety because you're in a group. It was a way to break down some walls and some barriers. So I really did appreciate it. I thought it was well done. I thought each group not only presented well information, but also your sources were good. So I really appreciate the work, guys. It really was well done. So what I'm going to ask now is for you guys to take 15 to 20 minutes to do the self and peer assessment. I'm going to pass them out. If you're done early, I have a fact sheet here that I want to pass out so that you guys can read about the primary and secondary sources and brush back up on them, so that when everyone's done, we're going to play a game that I kind of threw together called Speed Sorts Sorting.
Oh yeah.
It's not what you guys have no idea what it's going to be, because even the people that I talked about with it, I changed what I was talking about. It's completely different. So, work on this. I want deep critical thinking. Please, really dig deep and try for me here. I don't want just one-word answers. The first half of this should be pretty easy. It's just filling in numbers. Now, above the chart, there's little boxes. Write down your group members' names, please, so I know who you're talking about and I don't have to just guess. You're welcome.
Oh, so I give myself a number as well.
You give yourself a number as well. That's why that self is there. I'd like everybody to be wrapping up here. So finish this last sentence that you're on, or this last sentence of who you're on. Put the sheet up in the air so I can come by and grab it. And then I'd like everyone to grab this because we're going to read through this quickly. Just going to do a short read through, nothing major. This is just a brief reminder of primary and secondary sources. You guys should know majority of it, but I'd like to just brush up again because remember, that is a large majority of what's going to be needed to be done. Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you. Yes, ma'am, you can. Like actual lead? Oh. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to call it now. Whatever you got done, don't worry about it. I need to grab it from some people, Phil. Thank you, Logan. Thank you. Yeah, we'll talk after class, okay?
1972.
Yes, sir. Is there anybody else? I know Adam. I know you got it. Is there anybody else than Adam that has it still?
1973.
Josh has it. Sometimes nothing works. You have two staplers, neither of them staple. I guess that happens, huh? There are 3 staplers. There's 3 staplers, none of them work. Oh, yeah, it's not a big deal. That's what I'm saying. Finish that sentence. You can finish the sentence, don't rush. So while we're waiting for those two to finish their last sentence and be ready, I'd like to maybe start looking at the fact sheet about the primary and secondary sources. So if you can all get them out. And then what I'd like to do now is maybe, do I have a volunteer that would like to start reading?
Oh wait, no.
No, okay. That's all right, Adam. Any volunteers that would like to start reading or not? Because if not, I'll just go to the sheet of the list of the people in the class and I'll just pick one at random.
I only got one.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Thank you. No? Nobody?
Oh, Annalise just said.
Annalise? Wonderful. Thank you.
Is the beginning?
Just, start and then at one point I'll stop you and I'll popcorn to the next person. You guys should have known what popcorn reading is, so take it away.
What is a primary source? Primary sources are original records of the political, economic, artistic, scientific, social, and intellectual thoughts and achievements in a specific historical period. Produced by the people who participated and witnessed the past, primary sources offer a variety of points of view and perspectives of events, issues, people, and places. These records can be found anywhere, in a home, a government archive, etc. The important thing to remember is they were used or created by someone with first-hand experience of it.
Pause. Grant.
Examples of a primary source. Primary source are not just documents and written records. There are many different kinds of primary sources, including first-person accounts, documents, physical artifacts, scientific data that has been collected but not interpreted, and face-to-face mentors with specific knowledge or expertise.
Yes, sir.
Primary sources also take a variety of formats. Examples of these are listed below.
Logan?
Audio. Oral histories or memoirs, interviews, music, images, photographs, videos, film, fine art, objects, clothing, fashion or uniforms, tools, pottery, gravestones, inventions, weapons, memorabilia, statistics, census, data, population statistics, weather records, text, letters, diaries, original documents, legal arguments, treaties, maps, laws, advertisements, recipes, genealogical information,
lectures.
David?
How do primary and secondary sources differ? While primary sources are the original records created by first-hand witnesses of an event, secondary sources are documents, text, images, and objects about an event created by someone who typically reference the primary sources for their information. Textbooks are an excellent example of secondary sources.
Tori?
Why is it important for students to use primary sources? Direct engagement with artifacts and records of the past encourages deeper content exploration, active analysis, and thoughtful response. Analysis of primary sources helps students develop critical thinking skills by examining meaning, context, bias, purpose, point of view, etc.
Andrea?
The primary source analysis fosters learner-led inquiry as students construct knowledge by interacting with a variety of sources that represent different accounts of the past. 4. Students realize that history exists through interpretation that reflects the viewpoints and biases of those doing the interpretation.
Awesome, thank you. So, and the back is just the sources from where I got the information from. So, my question is why would I have you guys reread this after we've been dealing with primary and secondary sources? Why would this be something I want to hammer into your heads by right at the end of the third quarter? Jess?
Because we're writing a history paper for our fourth quarter.
Precisely. And you're going to need them, right? So you're going to need these primary and secondary sources. And it's really important because I even slipped up the other day. I was making the speed source sorting when I'm about to introduce to you guys. I was making it, and I labeled primary, and then I labeled secondary, and I put some sources down, and they were wrong. And I looked at it again, and I was like, oh, that's wrong. I corrected myself because I went back and looked at it. Sometimes if you don't take the time to process exactly what a source is, it may be difficult. So I want to make sure you guys take the time to really understand what is the difference between a secondary and primary source. And it's good to get it now because this is something that will really help you long-term goals. If you work on this and you learn how to do this now, 4 years from now when you're in college, I know when I went into college, I never got taught how to do primary and secondary sources. And by the time I got to college, it was rough. So I hope you guys take this opportunity to really learn about it. So, thank you guys for reading. What I'm going to ask everyone to do now is calmly push your seats back. Everybody get up.
Playing a game?
Yeah, we're playing a game. We're all going to get, but before everybody actually moves, you can get up. But before you move anywhere, what I want to explain is I'm going to read to you a scenario. So, for instance, one of the scenarios is, or was, I was watching ESPN, and one of the reporters said he had heard good reviews about a new sports movie. When he talks about the movie, what is he? A primary or secondary source?
Secondary.
Correct, secondary. But when I ask you this, we're all going to get in the middle. If you think it's primary, you'll move over to my right. If you think it's secondary, you move over to the left. You want to go with no running, no pushing. We're all adults here, let's be honest. But when I say, I want you to go quick, because we want to be able to do this quick. That's why it's speed source sorting, okay? This is a way for you guys to get up and get active, okay? So everyone in the middle, let's move these tables back in just a quarter of an inch once everybody gets in. I want to make sure that everybody has room and nobody gets hurt.
Every night.
Quarter of an inch. That's like.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah, because I don't move for 2 hours.
All right, everybody, come on.
Softball's only a joke.
Oh, no. I mean, if you were back right
All right, so everyone get like a school of fish and just crunch together in the middle right now. So the first scenario is, at school, we use textbooks to learn about the history of the United States. When we use textbooks, what are we using? Primary or secondary? This is secondary, this is primary.
It literally said in the
Why? Thank you. Why do you guys believe that it's secondary?
Because it literally said in
Okay. Yes, that was an easy one. Glad. Everyone back to the middle. I like to read People magazine. I really like the articles written by others about Hollywood actors. When I read these stories, what am I reading? Okay, why do you all think it's secondary?
And I don't
Someone
know.
else is
writing about
Go for it, keep going.
It's like someone else is writing about someone else's life, so it's not first-hand account. It's just
Even though you're reading it.
What did she say, guys?
they don't know the celebrity.
What she said, did you hear?
Yeah, because they're not writing.
Good. Yeah, I just want to make sure you guys know why it's secondary. Okay, that's all. That's the whole. I don't want you guys just following blindly a person who's going one way. I want you to think on your own. Is that an announcement that we missed? No?
I think we're testing the pages, so I just.
Okay. Next scenario. I found a letter to one of my friends in the locker room after school the other day. I know it's private, but I really want to read it. What is the letter? Primary or secondary?
Yeah, it's kind of hard. No, because if you think about it, it's not his letter. But someone...
I'm waiting for you to choose a side.
Wait, can you go over it again?
I found a letter to one of my friends in the locker room after school the other day. I know it's private, but boy, do I want to read it. What is the letter?
Is it?
Okay, so you guys chose secondary. Why did you choose secondary?
Because the person who wrote the letter to him and the kid who has it now, that's technically a secondary source because it wasn't written to
It's
him.
not the person, it's the letter itself.
Okay, well, yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah? Are you staying there?
No, I just don't feel like.
Okay. That's fine. At least you're honest. I appreciate that. You're right. It is primary. Why is it primary?
Because it's written from the guy himself. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Just like if you found a letter from like Dwight Eisenhower being sent to the troops in World War II, that's primary. That is what he wrote. All right, back to the middle.
See, at least I put some twist in it.
I like it. I'm up for it.
Yeah.
My friends and I found an old wedding dress in our attic. My father said it belonged to my grandmother. What is the dress? Primary or secondary?
Black and blue.
Wait. Let's go.
I'll read it again. My friends and I found an old wedding dress in our attic. My father said it belonged to my grandmother. What is the dress? Primary or secondary? Why'd you guys change?
I rethought it.
Okay, and why? Well, when you rethought it, what did you think?
Yeah,
At first I thought because it was the grandma's and it was like 2 generations that was secondary or primary.
Okay, that's okay. That's all right. I like your thinking. Keep going with it.
Now I realize.
Yeah, right? Because the dress was actually in their life, right? So the dress is essentially, imagine you found a flag or a weapon, like they talked about in the article, in the info. You find a weapon, it's still a primary source.
Alright, cool.
My mom has CDs of my grandparents telling stories about when they were kids. We love to listen to these at family gatherings. What are we listening to? Primary or secondary sources?
Okay, so the grandparents are saying...
My mom has CDs of my grandparents telling stories about when they were kids. We love to listen to these. You're right. Again, why do you all think it's primary? Right, it's the grandparents actually talking. Back to the middle, we'll do 2 more. My friend Tim said I should read a book that he really liked. He told me about it. It sounds really good. When Tim talks about the book, what is he?
Trick
So
question.
when Tim talks about the book that he read, what is he? Primary or secondary?
Primary.
Secondary.
Argue with each other why you think it's primary.
Because he wrote the book, he's just saying what he knows about the book.
It's his opinion.
But it's not asking, he's just said, read the
I'll
last
read it again.
exit.
My friend Tim said I should read a book that he really liked.
Secondary.
He told me about it. It sounds really good. When Tim talks about the book, what is Tim?
Tim is the
Primary or
source.
secondary?
Because Tim is the one saying that he likes the book. Yeah.
The book is that Tim is just talking about it. Like,
The book's a primary source.
Yeah, but it's actually what Tim is.
Hold on. Let's not get the shouting match. I want to hear both sides, but no need to shout. So you're saying Tim, the book would be a primary source, but Tim is secondary?
Yes.
And you guys are saying Tim, since he read the book and it's his opinion, is primary. right?
In this situation.
In this situation, because he read the book and he's
Just
telling you about it.
asking what is Tim, what is not the book.
Tim is a secondary source.
Oh!
Tim's a secondary source because the book is so essentially just like the guy who watched a movie, the ESPN announcer who watched a movie. He just watched it. He's not the movie itself.
Yeah, but you asked what Tim was.
I asked you what the ESPN announcer was too, and you said secondary.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
All right,
Depends on what
last
you're
one.
talking about. His opinion of the book or the actual information.
When I am doing homework for the U.S. government and I read the commentaries by Supreme Court justices on landmark cases, what am I reading? I'll reread it. That was wordy. When I am doing homework for U.S. government and I read commentaries by Supreme Court justices on landmark cases, what am I reading?
At real life homework.
Primary or secondary sources?
You have some people in the middle right now.
Yeah, I know. I got a lot of people in the middle. You want me to read it again?
Yeah, read it again.
Everyone quiet so that everyone can actually hear it and comprehend. When I am doing homework for U.S. government and I read the commentaries by Supreme Court justices on landmark cases, what am I reading? Primary or secondary sources?
Wait, what do you call
Commentary. So essentially what they said on the landmark cases. What these Supreme Court justices who were in those cases said. Primary or secondary?
Oh, wait, it's the wrong last name. Wait, were they in the cases? Were they in the cases?
Just so that everyone's reassured, Supreme Court justices are on court for life. So once they're hired, they're there until they either die or resign.
And landmark cases take place in the Supreme Court.
Yeah, landmark cases are only in the Supreme Court.
That's what I heard I was confused. But
So, all right, did everyone change their mind now?
yeah, because we went over the whole.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, it is a primary source because it's while they were in these landmark cases, what happened. It's what they saw, what they did, what was going on. They really were there. It says essentially, if you read a diary from somebody who was in a war, a soldier, their commentaries on day-to-day life, it's a primary source document. It's the same idea. Okay? So I'm glad that once I described the Supreme Court justices and them being there for life and with them landmark cases, you guys got it. Thank you. So that's it for the game. So let's all move back to the seats, refocus in. Actually, what I'd like to do now is I'd like to give you guys 5-minute break. Go to the bathroom, get a drink, refocus, let your bodies resettle, and then come back, okay? 5-minute break. It's like we're back in 8th grade history, guys. 5-minute break.
All right, we're good.
Okay, so what I want to say is I really appreciate the work today. It was good work. What I want you to do now is please take all the notes on the primary sources and get them away. Get them away, get them away, get them away. Get rid of them. I don't care where you put them. I really don't. That's fine with me. Just get them off the table so you can't see them. Here's what I'd like. And also get out a piece of paper and something to write with.
Classic.
Paper?
No, yeah, if it has no information on it, that's fine. Oh, no, there's back.
You're not going to look at it.
No,
You can trust me.
No.
You can trust me.
Sorry about it.
Yeah.
So you guys will have 10 minutes. Usually I'm only going to give 5, but the game went faster than I expected. So, here.
That's my pen anyway.
I know it is. Thanks. So, what I want you to do now is this is called an exit slip. So essentially you cannot leave the room until you hand me a piece of paper with your name and those 2 answers on it. We just went over this, and you should have a lot of examples because we just did 4 of each, at least.
How many examples will you give?
Just 1 example, that's it.
Oh, really?
Just 1. It's not going to be hard. I just want to make sure you guys understand it. It shouldn't be very difficult. Like I said, you guys had a lot of examples. So all it is the first one. What is a primary source? Don't say that loud. What is a primary source? And give an example. Number 2. What is a secondary source? Give an example. This is just to show me that you guys understood what the game was for, what happened today, and that there's a full and comprehensive control of the material. Are there any questions before you guys actually start? Well, you can start. It's okay. It's not a big deal if you did start. Like I said, I'm giving you guys extra time just because the game went faster than I expected.
What time is it?
It is 1:41.
Oh.
Yeah. So you got 9 minutes. And once you guys are all done and I collect them, like I said, it shouldn't take very long. So once you guys are done and I collect them, I'm going to have a brief discussion about it. So there's no need to worry about it and be crazy. It's nothing to worry about too much, all right? Once you're done though, flip the paper over so I know that you're done.
We have to give an example or just write with this?
I'd like an example. We just did 8 examples. And it doesn't have to be hard. It could be like, my friend Tim said this, and that was this, so it's this.
Who is this Tim?
He goes, I think he's a junior here.
Oh, Tim Boyd?
That wasn't who I was actually talking about, but it just happened to happen that way. You done?
Oh,
Thank
that's
you,
so
buddy.
weird.
You and Tim just have book discussions all the time.
Thank you, David.
Great headshots there.
Yeah. I'm practicing my tracking. Never done it on a swivel chair.
Hey,
though.
it's kind of a quiz, so no talking until everyone's done. Sorry. That's not talking. You can all you want.
Although it's kind of annoying.
It is kind of annoying.
Oh. You're retiring?
Can I take a wild guess?
Go for it. I don't care.
27.
Nope.
Wait, how old? 23.
Okay. Quiz. It's a quiz. After the quiz, you can guess.
22.
Stop. Shush. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's really good.
That's fine.
Actually, yeah, that's really good.
That's the easiest thing.
It wasn't supposed to be hard.
Wait, we're not leaving.
Yeah, we're not leaving. We got 7 minutes still, guys.
The bell doesn't
He's not an angel. Take the halo off of his head.
So what's the bell for?
Huh?
The bell doesn't exist. I mean, it doesn't.
Well, the bell doesn't dismiss you. I
Please,
dismiss you.
tell me about the bell not existing.
Alright.
As it like goes off.
Is your mind messing with
I'm
you?
not gonna keep pausing you. It's stuck. It's gonna get stuck. It's on now. Stop.
If it's really stuck, we'll get some butter. Melt it. Give me it. Let go. Listen. Let go.
Da da da
Let
da.
go.
Okay.
Thank you. How many more people are still working? Good, so there's still people working. Voices down. It's okay. Thank you.